You have an insurance business and you've been pretty successful thus far, but you notice that times are changing and innovation is necessary. So today we're going to talk about how to grow your insurance business, specifically in this environment. I hope you're ready. I'm going to give you 5 tactics to help you grow your business. You're going to learn how to turn your existing clients into referral engines, uncover how you can get out of the one-on-one game and start getting multiple clients at one time, and I'm going to show you how to identify and remove the points of friction that are causing you to lose prospects before you even knew they were looking at your business. If you've already built an insurance business, I want you to look at how you acquired your last 20 clients. Go through, actually create a report, print that out, look at your last 20 clients, and look at how did you acquire each and every one of them. Hopefully you have a CRM, a customer relationship management system, where you'd be putting notes on that type of thing. If you don't have a CRM, your homework is go ahead, Google that, look into it. There's some very low cost ones, but you need a system like that so that you can track how customers are finding you. And not only that, ensure that you're staying in contact with prospects who haven't committed yet. Now, if you haven't built an insurance business yet and you're in the process of it, I want you to assume that your last 20 clients were acquired through referrals. That's a fair assumption. If you already have an existing book of business, I want you to ask yourself, are there opportunities for you to go deeper or wider with your existing clients? So, do they have one type of insurance, maybe life insurance, but you have other types of insurance you can offer them as well? Do you offer comprehensive financial services where it's not just insurance? I want you to look at your existing book of business and ensure that you've already gone as deep as humanly possible with each and every one of those clients based on their needs. This is your opportunity to reach out and say, hey, I noticed that you're not covered in this area. Or, hey, I noticed that we have some opportunities to manage your risk a little better in this area over here as well. So start prescribing to them solutions that make sense. It's not about just simply putting things on our clients. We know that we're here to serve them and ensure that they're protected. So if you see opportunities and gaps, call them, create customized reports that are just for them with their name on it so that they know this was crafted with them in mind. One of the quickest ways to grow an insurance business is to not focus on individuals, but on benefits managers within organizations. Getting with them can mean that you're getting hundreds, sometimes even thousands of customers at one time. Now, it might be easier to start with a small business where maybe you're not getting 100 customers, but maybe you're getting 10, maybe you're getting 15 at once. And so you're building that relationship with the benefits manager. Now, you might be asking yourself, how do I get in touch with a benefits manager, or how do I separate myself from the other people that are offering solutions? I have a really cool trick for you. So before you have that meeting with the benefits manager that you've set up to talk about their needs and everything, I want you to take a moment and visit 2 websites, Glassdoor and Indeed. Now, these are websites that people typically use when they're posting a job or when they're looking for a career opportunity. However, if you put in the name of the company that benefits manager works for, where you're actually going to go visit her, put in the name of the company and search, you'll notice there's a tab in each of these websites where existing employees can actually create a review of the company. There's also another tab for benefits where you get to see the types of benefits that are offered. Those 2 tabs are your best friends. You might start to see multiple employees complaining that maybe they're not offered a certain type of insurance, or maybe what's being offered isn't as competitive at other places. So that way, when you go in with the benefits manager, you can actually say, hey, I spent some time looking into your company, and I noticed a trend. When I was reviewing your company on Glassdoor and Indeed, I noticed that 20% of the people who commented said that they would feel better about working at this company if you offered this type of insurance, if you offered this kind of benefit. Now that sets you apart from anyone else who's vying for that business because you've already done the homework before you came through the door. Now, you're a sales professional. I know you know how to sell. I know that you understand the importance of asking those good questions at this point. But coming through the door, letting them know that you did some pre-work before you ask those really deep, great questions just sets you apart from everyone else. So that's one of the things I definitely want you to do. Glassdoor and Indeed. Make sure that you check them out before meeting with those benefits managers to get that large number of clients at once versus that onesie-twosie. I'm willing to bet no one's ever told you to use Glassdoor or Indeed to do some research before you meet with benefits managers to get that company as a client for your insurance business. So my question for you is, being that I'm giving you some new ideas, have you already subscribed to this channel? Because if you haven't, you're going to miss more juicy business building tips. Go ahead, take a second to just subscribe, and then we're going to get back to this juicy content for you. The next step is one that you may not have tried, but if you have family or friends, start trying to capture them as clients as well. One of the things you want to do is start looking at your immediate family, extended family, as well as friends, especially if you're at the beginning of building your insurance business. Start looking at these folks and seeing, do they need any of the products that you have to offer? Don't be salesy about it. What you want to do is sell them on the benefit versus the feature. Now, as salespeople, oftentimes we talk about the features. It does this, it offers you this, this coverage kicks in at this point. If this happens, then this is what comes in next. This is how it protects you against this. But what we want to do is we want to sell the benefit. How will this help you? Okay, in the event of this event happening to you, look what's going to happen. You'll get this, or your children will be covered in this way. This is protecting your income this way. You'll also be able to use this as an investment as well. So selling them on the opportunities. And by this time, if you invest it for this long, not only are you insured, but it'll give you enough money to buy this thing that's a goal. So again, sell those benefits. Let them get the picture of what it is you're offering. It's not just this backup thing that happens in case things go a certain way, but let them know how this is actually going to make their lives better, how this can take stress off of them. Now I want you to identify the top 2 to 3 people who have sent referrals to your insurance business, and I need you to woo them and make them feel special. What have you done for them lately, in the words of Miss Janet Jackson, right? And so make sure that you're staying in contact with them. If these people have sent you juicy referrals, you should be communicating with them a minimum of once a quarter, and usually just giving them something that's of service to them. So if you know that they follow a certain nonprofit, or they're interested in certain types of research, or maybe saving orangutans, whatever that is, send them an article on that quarterly, things that they're interested in, just to touch them. It doesn't have to be you saying, oh, we're rolling out this, or business announcements. Don't make it dry. You already have a relationship with them. You know that they believe in what it is that you're offering. And so work on that relationship. Let them know that you see them and you appreciate them. The last thing I want you to do is ask for referrals while making it easy for people to contact you. So asking for referrals is simple. Your existing clients, do you know someone who would be a good fit for? Tell them the product that you're servicing. Tell them the product that you're offering. Do you know someone that's in need of my services right now? How can I be of service to them? Simply ask people for referrals, even on social media. Hey, do you know someone that's in need of this? Do you know someone that would be helped by having this type of insurance or that type of insurance? So just ask outright. But if you're going to do that, make sure that's in turn easy for people to refer you and contact you. So if you're on a social network and there's no contact information that's visible, like Facebook, this is one where I see a lot of insurance folks that use their personal profiles, but they don't really put their business phone number under the About Me section or their email address. Make sure that your information is there so that people can easily come back and find you. If you're asking people for referrals, make sure your signature is at the bottom of that email where you're asking them. I know that sounds nuts, but the person might say, yes, I know somebody. Let me set up an email introduction, or let me have them call you. If your contact information is right there in your signature line, you're making it easy for them. They shouldn't have to go and find a magnet or a wall calendar that you sent them forever ago. Do people still use wall calendars? I know I don't. I don't know. But whatever it is, they shouldn't have to look up your information. It should be easy for them to refer you and easy for people to contact you. Growing your insurance business in terms of getting more referrals and more clients, that's only part of the battle. The other thing you want to make sure that you're doing and staying up to date with the fast pace of change. As such, I have a gift for you today, a completely free gift. I want to give you my Future Ready Playbook. This playbook is full of tools and worksheets that will help you think about your business strategically and ensure that you're not just getting referrals now, but years down the line. To get your copy right now, go under the description and click on the link. It's right there waiting for you.